Sunny Hostin, a co-host on The View, recently stirred up a discussion by attributing the popularity of Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark to white privilege and pretty privilege during an episode of the ABC talk show. Hostin's comments came as part of a broader conversation about race, attractiveness, and their influence on public and commercial support for athletes. Hostin asserted, "I do think that there is a thing called pretty privilege. There is a thing called white privilege. There is a thing called tall privilege, and we have to acknowledge that, and so part of it is about race, because if you think about the Brittney Griners of the world, why did she have to go to play in Russia? Because they wouldn't pay her," referencing the financial disparities that led WNBA star Brittney Griner to play overseas. The co-hosts were responding to former ESPN host Jemele Hill's argument that Caitlin Clark's race and sexual orientation significantly contributed to her fame. Hostin acknowledged Clark's talent and the positive attention she brings to the WNBA, but emphasized that her relatability and marketability are enhanced because she is a white, attractive athlete. Hostin also pointed out the broader issues of discrimination faced by black athletes and those in the LGBTQ+ community within the WNBA, where 70% of players are black, and a third identify as LGBTQ+. Hostin's colleague, Alyssa Farah Griffin, offered a different perspective, stating that her fandom of the WNBA grew because Clark is so fun to watch, dismissing the notion that Clark's race was a factor. Whoopi Goldberg, another co-host, echoed the sentiment of Clark's talent being the primary reason for her acclaim, emphasizing that she and Hostin have long advocated for greater recognition of WNBA players' skills, which often match or surpass their male counterparts. Caitlin Clark has indeed made significant strides in women's basketball. She became the all-time leading scorer in Division I NCAA women's basketball history while at the University of Iowa and led her team to consecutive national championship game appearances. Her exceptional performance secured her the first overall draft pick by the Indiana Fever and a lucrative $28 million sponsorship deal with Nike, highlighting her marketability. Hill, in her comments to the Los Angeles Times, underscored the underrepresentation of black women in high-profile sponsorship deals, criticizing brands like Nike for not diversifying their endorsements. She emphasized that while celebrating Clark's success is important, it should not come at the expense of sidelining black women who have been instrumental in building the WNBA. Goldberg voiced her frustration with the reductionist view of attributing Clark's success solely to her race and attractiveness, stressing that her achievements are a testament to her skills and hard work. "To have her reduced that way bothered me a lot because this is her record," Goldberg said. "Unless you can show me who's got a better record than this is why she's getting the attention she's getting, because she's a damn good player and doesn't matter whether she's straight or gay, ain't nobody crying when she's making those balls." The discussion on The View highlights ongoing issues of race, privilege, and representation in sports, calling for a more inclusive and equitable recognition of all athletes' contributions, regardless of their race or sexual orientation.